It's time for Who Watch, Time and Relative Blackness in Space.
The box.
Hi everyone, it's Connie and Delia coming to you live from the Time Vortex. Today, we're discussing episode 4 of Doctor Who Season 12, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. In this episode, the Doctor drives a Tesla, Yaz gets hijacked into the Scorpio season, and we meet the cousin of the Racnoss Empress from Runaway Bride.
Delia, this is your first time on TARBIS.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. Like, we talked about it. I was like, nah, I don't think I have been. But it seems like,
yeah,
I just go here. But, you know.
You've been on Wizard Team, and, you're
whiskies.
part of the S-Quint. But, you out here. You go here.
Yeah, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. Being a big Doctor Who fan. There's really no reason why I haven't been on TARBIS, TBH, but...
Robyn had to. I failed to come up with a quirky.
Well, she's
reason.
out there. She's out there tracking down the master. She's been busy, booked and busy.
Absolutely, yes. She's been trying to find our new evil boo, and so Delia has graciously substituted. She's doing
important work. Yeah, I didn't want to.
Yeah, we can't interfere with that. Obviously, this is all in the name of science. This is all in the name of. She's doing it for all of us, really.
Truly, so, we will all benefit.
And once again in this episode, the Master is not there, and it was.
But he's with us in spirit.
It was disappointing that he wasn't there.
There was a moment I was like...
I was just like, of course not.
But no, we couldn't. But I would have liked for us to go there.
Indeed. We do get Tesla, who, as I said last week, my main experience of Tesla in, media is from The Prestige. Have you seen The Prestige?
I have not.
It's pretty good. Stage magic and rivals, and Tesla's there, and he's played by David Bowie.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, he's played by David Bowie, and, he, has his electricity. I've been not that long since I've seen The Prestige, but I don't necessarily, I guess, understand all the Tesla parts. There's a lot of, science magic in that movie. So that's my, main source of Tesla as a character. And then otherwise, I was just on his Wikipedia as the episode was airing.
She was.
Oh, this is who he was. Okay, cool. I
learned about him in school.
Too much attention to him, yeah.
I knew about Nikola Tesla. We learned about him in school, the rivalry with Edison and all that jazz. But, I definitely knew more than Graham did.
Well, hold up. Yaz and Ryan.
Okay, I knew more than any of them did. I was like, do they not learn this in British school? Was it just my school?
The Tesla is a car. He said, Nicholas who? And I was like, Ryan, please. It's a popular vehicle right now. It's a thing. I don't understand. Oh, these poor children. They just know nothing about history.
But, where did they think the name Tesla came from? I have questions.
I don't know. I'm concerned about the education system in
I am too, to be honest.
Where Ryan and Yaz live, because they ain't no. Ryan said that Rosa Parks drove a bus, and I will never forget it.
Did they go to what's England's version of bad schools? Did they go to one of them? Because
I feel like they must have. So I'm really concerned. But we meet Tesla. He's at Niagara Falls. He like lives in New York. Um, I've already forgotten the name of the lab that he's trying to create, like wind.
All I know is it's spelled crazier than it sounds. Because we had the captions on. A win, some.
It's fine. Like, I feel like overall this episode was fine. Yeah. But like,
I'd rewatch it.
It's nothing that's gonna stick with me.
No. I also think like I'm not really sure I understand the name. It says like considering how scary Doctor Who can be sometimes. When it said Night of Terror, I was really prepped. But it was like just a general Doctor Who alien story. It wasn't really scary at all. It was like
dark. And I mean, like visually, like I couldn't see a lot of stuff. The brightness was all the way up. Are we turning the brightness all the way up? I can't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, considering the title, Night of Terrors, it wasn't that terrifying.
They could have given me more.
Yeah. It was
the one time, like,
somewhat lacking.
Because like, even last week was kind of scary. Yeah. Like, they don't warn me when it is scary, but when it isn't, they're like, ooh.
Spooky time.
Yeah, I would like, I mean, you know, and it's fine. It was a fine episode. Like, if I do rewatch, like, I would rewatch it. Whereas last week, I mean, I wasn't on Tarbis last week, but I think we're all good. We're all just set. It's fine.
We are good on that.
We're good on that one.
Yeah.
Benny!
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Where's my Benny?
Benny.
I can't. Okay. My grandmother's name was Benny, and, like, that's just, it hurts me in a different way.
Yes. So, why didn't 13 get a Gilded Age outfit?
Okay, look. I saw this in the previews last week and I noticed, I'm like, why? And I've honestly, truly never understood the rhyme or reason for when, in general, they wear period pieces and when they don't. Mm-hmm. I get why they don't have to, like, because they're like, this isn't what they say, but I'm like, because muggles don't notice. But, like, why do they do it when they do? And then why is it sometimes like the rest of them are like, yeah, I'm in my duds, but the doctor's like, nah, can't be bothered.
Right. It's very interesting. Like, and I wonder if there is a rhyme or reason, or there
probably isn't.
Because like in Spy Falls, you know, they had a 13 outfit.
Ooh. And it was still very 13. But
yeah, it was like her outfit, but tuxedo.
Yeah. And
so they could have. I mean, I don't think that they really would necessarily have the budget, because I do like the idea that it matches her current outfit.
Well, she could have had like a 3-piece, but like just have the legs a little bit shorter, like her outfit. But period, we could have done it.
Yeah. So I'm curious.
I feel like we were
distinctions robbed.
Yeah, we were robbed a little bit, because like especially like there was a scene of all of them walking, and it's like Graham's got the fit, Grandpa like he's still stunting in his old age, and then we got Ryan and Yaz as friend of the pod, Caitlin says, the companions. And they lived up to it. I was like, truly, yes, has these puffy shoulders. Like,
you know, they had, Ryan had that newsboy cap on.
Sure did.
Walking with his hands in his pockets.
Ooh.
You know, just like Bond.
They really didn't have to do it to him, but they did it to us.
They did it to us.
But they didn't give us 13. I don't understand.
Rude. So that was lacking. Well, I did enjoy Yaz, like, ribbing Graham. Like, Yaz is like, I know I don't know who these people are, but you don't either. Because that's how I would... It's poppycock.
Yeah, we opened the episode with a poppycock.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, great, yes, this is what I'm here for. That alone, I'll rewatch for that.
And I feel like that's the only real moment where we get, like, a fun interaction between the fam. The episodes have really been lacking in like in the characters interacting with each other. Because I feel like even when they're interacting with the new characters, because again, this was another crowded episode. We got Edison, we got Tesla, we got Mrs. Scarrett, we got the Racnoss cousin.
Because I didn't realize Edison was in it. Like maybe he was in the previews. I just wasn't paying attention last week. But like, then they're like, we gotta go visit Edison. I'm like, what do we? Like, what? Why?
Must we? Ugh.
I mean, we came back to Tesla, but like in the moment, I was like, I was having a good time.
Like,
But
I guess
it
we
was,
have to talk about him, but we don't gotta see him.
yeah.
We don't
Why
gotta
did
meet
we?
him.
And honestly, like even like in hindsight, we really didn't need him.
Not at all.
Not at all.
He
Like
kind of just like hangs out in the
we could have
background of
told
the
the
scenes.
story of like Nikola's struggle with like the competition and like how Edison's been, even like showing like the photographer like stalking them or whatever and getting info. But like we didn't need. Not only did we not need to see Edison, we did not need to bring him on the TARDIS. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it's just, and again, I haven't been on the other TARDIS episodes, but like it has been so crowded. Like last season, it was just crowded on the TARDIS because like we were trying to develop all these characters, and so we were all looking to this season like, oh, well, we're gonna get more Yaz and you know more of their interaction, see them grow. But instead, it's like, okay, we've done the groundwork, we're done, and now like let's just throw them in with all this other stuff, and it's like they're constantly split up with the myriad of characters who are also in the episode that are the one-time characters. And I can appreciate that they're trying to do more historical actual figures instead of just putting them in history, like they're actually meeting people, and that's fun, and that's a fun side to see of the show again, but it's just like, it's too many. It's just too many.
It's definitely too many. This episode definitely had too many people, and there's just been so little, like, interaction. You know, we have this one moment where Yaz is, you know, teasing Graham, and last week it was Yaz teasing Ryan, and, like, what? Is that it? There's nothing else, like, just... Yeah, it's just like we're not getting any character development from our characters at all.
And didn't Manda, she in an interview suggested that like we were going to find out something, or I don't know if like she said something big, but there was going to be like some significant development of her character, and like at this like rate, I just don't see how that could happen, because with what time?
Yeah, like by the time,
if we keep
like,
going
based on the preview, I feel like next week's gonna be, you know, I'll talk about it later, but next week's like more of the story arc of the season with like the Doctor and the Master and Timeless Child stuff. Like that seems to be where that's going.
But you know,
right? But like there's still, that's episode 5 already, and out of, I think they're still doing 10 again.
I think so, yeah.
And so like, when are we gonna get? Because even if we do get Yaz, that's in like maybe one episode. You know, like. Because then they'll probably still also give us a Ryan and also a few Graham moments.
I'm good. I'm like, solid. Like, look, and I love Ryan, I do, but also I feel like we've gotten a lot of him also. And like, I'm never gonna like say no to more Ryan, but like, I have my girl Yaz doing stuff that doesn't involve the other two, and like, and she is like going off with these other characters, but even still, it's not in service of her character. It's just like, to have someone there, it feels like. And yes, we do.
It is in service, and when it is in service of the new character.
Right, exactly.
She was like talking to Tesla, and like she jumped into the little wormhole with him, which, yes, sis, I need you to...
the Gryffindor. The Gryffindor needs to stop. We gotta stop. It's gotta end. Cut it out.
This is now the second time she's been trapped somewhere.
Like, that, or I need the Doctor to tell them who she really is, and tell them, like, look, y'all get caught up and get some alien powers or something, and it's done for you. You out. You out of the TARDIS. That, or you're gonna get yourself killed, because I ain't the one. Right now, she's been too much of a Hufflepuff. Friends. I'm like, I remember the Doctor that took Donna's memories away, so you want to know something, like, that's still in her somewhere. Yaz needs to cool it.
She did it like 2 weeks ago.
She sure did. So Yaz needs to cool it.
Right. We do not need another Clara situation where Yaz is like, I got this. Not that I think she's actually going to do that.
No, she's not.
But I'm
getting
just like...
teleported into like alien places.
She just keeps doing that.
It's got to stop.
And again, without any kind of like reconciliation with like the fact that she did it, or anything that's like about her as a character.
Speaking of no repercussions, I do feel like this season so far has felt, even though the Master was there, like, these other 2 episodes have felt... Been 2 episodes since then? Wow. It have felt pretty low stakes, too. Like, when Yaz did get transported, I was like... They wanted to be
big stakes last week. They're like, it's the whole Earth.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, yes.
Sure.
But then, like, she's on the ship, and I'm like, oh, Scorpio, yikes. I mean, but, like, you knew exactly what was going to happen because, like, it's a very typical Doctor Who episode, Doctor Who arc.
I wasn't ever actually concerned about Tesla or Yaz.
Yeah, I wasn't concerned about absolutely none of it. There were no
twists. And I kind of just didn't care. I was just like, is that the Racnoss? Oh, it's not? Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like, all right, and?
Yeah, like, it was cute or whatever, but...
Yeah. It was a little cute.
So...
I don't know. It's like, wait, so the Racnoss cousin, what were they called? The Scorpion people.
Scorpio season.
Yeah, Scorpio season people. They had this orb. They're looking for an engineer to fix their ship.
It's pretty flimsy, to be honest. But yes, they want, like, they stole all of their tech. They're just stealers, I guess, is their thing. Thieves. They took it precious. But because they keep taking stuff, now all their tech and stuff is falling apart. But, like, they took the thing, but they didn't take the expertise, so they had to find an engineer. Mm-hmm. And so, like, for some reason, in all of, like, they landed themselves in Nikola Tesla's period, and he's the only one that, like, had the wherewithal to send a signal back. And they were like, yo, Dip, okay, cool. We need an engineer. Come on board. Wasn't as friendly as that, but that's what happened. And so, like, I guess they wanted him to fix their stuff, but also, like, I get it. It's just a cute Doctor Who episode, but I'm like, just because he can invent some Earth stuff doesn't mean these...
like, really?
These don't go together.
Yeah.
That's not... I mean, it was flimsy at best.
Yeah.
Could have gone anywhere in the... So, they had it... Like,
literally the entire galaxy.
Yeah, that's wild.
Legit the entire galaxy.
So, yeah, and so also, I still am not 100% sure what was the orb of Thasser for. Like...
something about...
was it to find Tesla, or they were just like, send that down to see what's going on?
I think it was to see what's going on, and then they found that Tesla dude, and they were like, yeah, him. And then, because they were, at one point, they were like, oh, it's radiating, the wrong word. It was like... signaling. Then it was receiving. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out
for how big, like, the story essentially opens on it. But now I'm realizing, because we just got off of watching it, I'm now realizing, like, yeah, it didn't really do anything. Like, it wasn't like a weapon or anything. Not that it needed to be, but, like, considering how it opened and, like, how much stress, like, ooh, look at all the energy it's putting out. What could it be? And then it's like, they were just kind of checking things out.
Yeah.
Scanning stuff and whatnot.
And I'm trying to figure out if it's just my brain just not working, or if, because, like, a lot of people were like, last season these plots are really simple and, like, we're really mad about it, and then now they're, like, trying to step it up, and I'm like, is it too convoluted? Like, are we getting back to, like, Moffat level, like, convolution in the plots? Because I feel like the last few weeks I've been like, I understand some of what's happening, but there's always something I'm missing, and I'm like, whatever. Like, I just have to be like, whatever about it in order to not be,
well, I think
like,
Spyfall
overwhelmed.
was good. Like, the Spyfall two-parter was good. Mm-hmm. This, I don't know. It's like maybe they're trying to do so much that they do nothing.
Yes.
Because, like, I feel at the end of it,
there's too many things happening. There's too many things to keep up with. And then little small details get missing, and then I'm like, wait, what happened? Like, I never know. You always end up missing something because there's too many things to focus on.
Yeah, I watched last week's episode twice, and I was like, because I realized it was a whirlwind of a lot of stuff, but at the end of it, I was like, but what happened? Mm-hmm. What, besides the thumbs? Like, I very clearly remember that, but I'm like, wait, why is this girl so mad? Like, why is she blowing it up? Was it really just because of her mom? It really was just because of her mom, but so much had happened, and yet nothing had happened that I had to go back and double check.
And the entire planet is doomed to be an orphan planet, and we have to protect it, Delia. We have to protect the planet.
Yeah, you know, Captain Planet. That was basically what you watched last week. So yeah, I don't know what that orb of Thasser was. My hope was that somehow, even though they were doing bad things, it was the Silurians again, because I really like the Silurians. I like them as a species on Who. So I was like, well, maybe there's some rogue ones, and then we'll get to see some good ones again, like something like that. But no, it was just like, we stole it. They're not here. Your friends aren't here. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. Oh, that's fine.
Cool.
I guess so.
Yeah. So they, for some reason, Edison is involved, and he gets to get on the TARDIS, and then Tesla eventually gets to go on the TARDIS, and Mrs. Scarrett, and I'm just like, this is, again, too many people.
3 people, we complained all last year about 3 people on the TARDIS. Not even last year, because longer than that now, but 3 people being on the TARDIS being too crowded. But then they're like, in this episode,
Everyone gets to be on the
3
TARDIS.
more. It's going to be 7 people on this TARDIS.
Everyone gets to join. You get to be on the TARDIS, and you get to be on the TARDIS.
You ain't got to take everyone with you, Doc. You really don't.
You really don't. And then they keep coming up with, like, random reasons. Like, she couldn't take the TARDIS to the ship, I guess. So she had to come up with, like, a transportation system. And then I guess they were using the TARDIS to power the, like, tower at the end.
Yeah, so they set up, like, a force field, and that was
Yes.
what the, like, it was.
Yes,
no, I don't
powered
think they
by the
set it up.
TARDIS.
It was, like, I think they just expanded the TARDIS's shield. But it took so much power to power up the tower
thing. That's the technical term for it, tower thing.
Yeah, tower thing. It's very scientific on TARDIS. You guys already know what it is. I may be new here, but I know how it goes. Yeah, so so like, because it took so much energy, they had to not, like, put the shields up, so now they could power it up. But also, like, I'm confused because I guess at that point they were already in. Yeah, okay, never mind. I'm not confused. It's just not, it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's dumb, but it's not great. Like, it's flimsy at best again.
Yeah. And so, like, they were like, oh, the shields will come down when we power up the tower in order to attack the ship.
Right.
But then they realized that they can't attack the ship because Racnoss' cousin, Scorpio, I don't think she had a name. She was like the queen, the Scorpion queen. Scorpio, she came down instead, because she wanted to flirt with the doctor a little bit. She was flirting.
It was a little weird.
She was like blinking, like she was batting her eyes.
There was
like evilly, like it was evil flirting, but it was kind of flirting.
There was something about her in general that just made me uncomfortable. I don't know if it was like her face was just too human, or like it was the overacting. And not to say, like, I don't think it was like overacting like that. This actress, I forget her name. She was on
Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
Sarah Jane Adventures.
Yeah, but I can't remember her name. But like, I don't think like it's because she's a bad actress. I think like with all the prosthetics and whatnot, like you know, you're moving your face a lot. But the thing was like her actual like face itself didn't have prosthetics, so really you didn't need to be all of that.
It was
very overdoing
human
it
under the prosthetics. Like I could see her human face.
Yeah, so
it was a little too well.
And then the red lip. Yeah, it was something about it was disconcerting, but not in the way I think it should have been.
In like a weird, in like that alien way that's very like robotic, but like organic.
Side and like
it's like this organic robotic thing that people who are aliens who play aliens sometimes do.
Yeah, and so it was just made me uncomfortable in general. And then when she was like talking about like to the doctor, I don't remember what she said, but yeah, it was like light evil flirting. I was like, I would like this to stop.
Yeah.
Can the doctor can we just skip it?
Yeah, let's just not do that part.
Yeah.
So homegirl comes down, Scorpio. She comes down and then does some light flirting with the doctor, and then the doctor's like, I'm gonna pull this trick on you from earlier. I'm gonna grab this thing over here, or like try to secretly grab this thing over here. And then she's like, I won't be caught, or like, I won't fall for that trick again. But then she falls for a trick because the doctor's like double clever, you know?
Yeah.
As usual. Actually,
she's clever.
Actually, in this episode, I've been thinking about this, but haven't been able to like articulate it, I guess. I feel like every doctor has like this sort of, obviously a teacher vibe, but I think it's extra strong. Like maybe the show, you know, in terms of writing and stuff, and like having actual historical characters, like you were mentioning, instead of just being in like a time period. Like it's like historical characters that the doctor's always like teaching the companions about. So like, you know, like when we meet Shakespeare. The doctor's like telling Martha about Shakespeare, but it didn't feel this like, and he's gonna do all these great works and stuff like that. Like the way that 13 tells the companions about the historical characters is it's like kind of like a teacher, but like she's like a really nerdy teacher. Like this like really hyper nerdy teacher, whereas like previous doctors have been like very, I guess, described as professorial or like,
Yeah.
and like wacky professor for sure.
Yeah.
But she's
definitely-
like the young, like goofy, nerdy teacher
Yeah,
when
like she's
explaining
definitely
the
like
stuff.
fangirling,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Like it's coming more of a place like I'm so excited to talk about this thing that I've apparently been passionate for a long time. Like I'm gonna tell you about it. Like I'm gonna have this moment. But like yeah, it is different. I think I like it. I haven't decided. Like there are parts of this doctor like we talk about it in our Slack all the time. Like 10 is my doctor, but like 13 is like giving him a run for his money.
Yeah.
But there are some things that she does that are different, and I'm like, do I like it? I'm unclear. And like this is one of the things like I miss. I don't know if I miss. Like I just. It's not that I mind how she is in that respect, but I do kind of miss like the like higher mind feeling, like because like she's a Time Lord, so like that like. Not that she's too human. I don't know. I haven't worked it out from like yet, but it just seems like she's too close to human, and like on the emotional level, it's good because I got real tired of like these like angsty, angry like cut it, we're good. But like maybe it's the Ravenclaw in me. I'm like I still enjoyed the like that professorial like way of being. I don't know.
Yeah, it's annoying that it's hard to articulate and figure it out because I especially don't want. It's that thing where it's a new doctor and you have to get used to new things, but then also it's like because she's gotten so much backlash because people are sex jerks.
Right.
I don't. It's hard to be like, am I critical of this or is it just like different?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, if I'm critical of it.
Is it like internalized?
Yeah. It's like some weird internalized, like, I don't know. And then I feel gross and then I don't want to think about it anymore.
I mean, it could be. Like, I don't know if that's what it is. It could be. Like, that could be possible.
Because then it's also just different, and that's fine. And, 11 is different from 10 and all that jazz. So I think I'm also just like still figuring out like how I feel about it. But
I also feel so like more than the doctor, I do wonder like if I feel, because like obviously Chibnall's doing his own thing, right? Like it's his own news story. But I also feel like, and I've been like withholding this opinion because like, you got to see it like pan out. But like we're almost halfway into her second season. And I just feel... Ooh, am I going to say this on my first episode of Tarbis? Like, is this controversial? I'm not even sure.
Am I ready? I think I'm ready.
I'm starting to think this writing style is just too simple. Like, I don't think, like, it's at the level of what a doctor needs to be, if that makes sense. Like, just because she's friendly and just because, she's, like, emotional doesn't mean she can't be that same level of, like, super, like, intelligent. And I don't think they mean to frame her as not intelligent. Not that she's not intelligent, but I don't think they mean to frame her as... I think they think they're doing the same thing as what was done before. But to me, the writing is just not there for it. Like, even her monologues are, like, just falling short to me.
Yeah.
And, like, I definitely isn't Jodie, for sure.
Yeah.
And, like, as far as, like, her characterization as, like, a person, I like that. So then it just leads me to think, like, it's the writing.
Right. I think I have a similar... It's a different thing, but very similar in that, like, I'm trying... Maybe I just need... I mean, we did Blue Ballot Box, so it's not like I haven't rewatched older Who episodes in a while, but I think I need to see, like, remind myself of, like, how other doctors were when they're, like, doctor-splaining things or, like, figuring things out, because I'm trying to figure out if I feel like the doctor knows this stuff or if the writing is, I'm going to walk you through some various, like, blah, blah, blah steps to get to where I need the audience and the plot to be. So, like, the Dr. 13 will, like, ramble off, like, her thought, like, she'll see something and she'll be like, this is what's happening, but actually, I think this is what it is, but also, it could be this, and I know that because blah, 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 and I can't remember how previous doctors have done that. Like, I know that it comes from a place, but it feels, and again, that feels like a writing thing of, like, is this monologue because the doctor is kind of all-knowing and intelligent and knows everything and can figure anything out, like, immediately, or is it, like, a, like, rushed writing problem?
Like, is it really, or is it just, you know...
Like, they're trying to do that, and then it's not working that well. And
that's
then
how I
it
feel
feels,
like
and
it
then I
might
feel
be.
like, oh, this is going to fall on Jodie, but I don't think it's her fault.
Oh, no, I definitely, like, I love Jodie.
Yeah.
Like, that, done. That was done episode 1. Like, it was like, all right, that's it. That's that. But, like, I mean, because I just also feel like, also what adds to that is, like, back in, and obviously I'm thinking mostly of Tennant because, again, that's my doctor, but even, like, with, you know, 9 and 11, some of 12, not a lot of 12. I feel like also the twists in the episodes were just better, so when the doctor would realize the twist, it was more impactful, because it's like, whoa, but then the fact that also he realized it was like another, whoa, but, like, the twists aren't great, so even if 13 realizes something, it's not, like, groundbreaking. It's not, like, something not that I mean, I couldn't have figured it out. I'm not, like, saying, like, I don't got that science brain, but, like, as an audience viewer, like, a viewer, I couldn't have figured it out. I could, and often do. Like
last
most
week, a lot of people were like, it's just Earth, isn't it? You know,
right.
Like, it was a thing that was kind of, like, not foretold, but
foreshadowed a little bit. Like, really and so, and so it wasn't like when she figured out it was Earth, it wasn't like, and then there was a point, like, where it could have been cool. Yaz asked her, and I know that we're not talking about this episode, but, like, in that episode, Yaz asked her, well, how long did you know it was Earth? And it could have been cool if she knew for a while that it was Earth, and, like, we could have gone back and seen seeds of her knowing it, but instead it was, like, not long before you.
Right, but also that felt like a lie.
Yeah, it could have been
and
a lie.
And then they didn't,
but they didn't do anything.
But they didn't do anything with it, and so then it's like, well, I guess I should, like, should I take it at face value? You can't tell, like, which way it is. I guess.
So you know, I just that's an ongoing thing with me, like, that I'm noticing more and more. I mean, her conversation with Tesla this episode, where they were talking about, like, inventing, and, like, he's like, oh, you know how it feels. I feel like with previous, like, not showrunners, but, like, writing styles, that could have been more. And instead, like, it just always seems with this show, like, this show run, it's always just falling, like, a little bit short. Not enough to overall, like, ruin an episode, but, like, over time, I'm just noticing that I'm feeling like I'm wanting, and it's not being given to me. Yeah.
I do appreciate that this episode was written and directed by women.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I was like, it was written and directed by women. Are we being, like...
I don't think so.
No, like, because, and I know that yes, I agree, because my second thought was, like, but Chris Chibnall, like, we're also talking about other episodes this season and last season, and Chris Chibnall is, like, the last, like, you know, voice.
Yeah.
So he sets the tone for what each character is and what each episode is. So it's like, if a writer in a particular episode writes 13 a certain way, he has the way to correct them into how it should be. Right. And his vision is kind of, like, just a little bit...
falling just a little short, but a little short every episode over time is, like, starting not to wear, like, I'm still enjoying it. And that's the thing. That's why I don't think it has to do with, like, you know, internalized sexism or anything for this episode, because, like, this episode as a standalone episode was fine. Like, it was, like, not the greatest.
Yeah.
It was just a very standard Doctor Who, not filler episode, but, like, you know, good.
Kind of filler.
I mean, I guess so. It didn't have anything to do with the bigger plot. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, and, like, especially in a season where last season they were all filler.
One-off.
So because they're all filler, none of them are filler, really.
Yeah.
And because they were introducing things about the characters.
And this one didn't do
that.
Anything.
Yeah, because, like, Rose is not, like, for instance, isn't filler, because we learn about Ryan and Yaz, and they have that connection in that moment of the episode, and then there are stakes for our characters, and, like, the story centers on, like, I think that's what's bothering me most this season, is that the stakes are about all the guest characters and not about our characters.
Which
and I don't need them to
because I don't care about the guest characters.
Right, like, I don't need them to have, like, physical stakes. Like, they were in danger. Yaz gets, like, sucked up to Scorpio land, and, like, why, you know, but she doesn't go through any emotional, like, when they have to, like, they have to figure out that Graham has to not give up his seat, or like he has to be the one to sit down so that Rosa has to be the one to not like make her seat get up. That was like an emotional moment because you can see the two other characters, Yaz and Ryan having to deal with that and being really concerned, and Graham, as much as we like make fun of him and he didn't necessarily need to be in that particular scene or like centered in that scene, it still like was emotional stakes for the characters that we know and go here. As opposed to like Tesla's having a moment, and I'm like, okay, but like, what's Ryan doing? What's Yaz doing? Like, they felt so background this week, and just Graham like making zings at Edison, like, I guess,
which was, I did say while we were watching the episode, I'm like, if Graham's gonna be on the TARDIS, his one job can be taking on other crappy white guys.
Yeah,
I'm here for that specific function of his.
Absolutely.
But only that function.
But then that was kind of all we got, and so that sucked. That was disappointing.
Yeah, and I keep hoping. I'm like, let's
focus on our fam. Like, they're the fam.
Next week, it looks like we're getting more of like whatever the master was hinting at, and so like I think my hope. We'll see how this plays out. You won't hear it from me. You find me on Twitter, but my hope is that like through learning about 13 and like how she is handling all this stuff with the Time Lords and like her past, and how the fam starts finding out about her past, like that will also let some of their characterizations shine through.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, the preview didn't give me that much hope.
It didn't.
For
like
it was very much like, this is about 13, which again, that's good. We haven't had a lot of introspection or like character development,
very tough, and that's about it.
Yeah, and last season the focus was on Ryan, Yaz and Graham, and not really on who 13 is. And again, I'm happy to have them shift that. But then you spent 2 whole episodes, and like again, the premiere was very much about 13 and about the master, and that was great. But then these last 2 episodes should have focused on 1 or 2 of, or all 3 of them in some way, of the companions that we know, so that as we get to a point where 13 is really struggling with whatever this stuff is, like whatever that like emotional arc is going to be for her, we have more of a foundation with our squad that's going to be supporting her, or something else. Like, she's hiding all this stuff. Like, they might be suspicious. They might be concerned. They're going to be, like, hurt that she didn't feel trust in that. Like, there's a lot to work with here. But we got Tesla and Mrs. Scarrett looking at each other.
I mean, we had Yaz go through the trauma of, like, being sucked up into space the first time. And she, like, has this moment where she's, like, kind of crying and talking to Ryan. And I thought we were going somewhere with that. And
not at all.
Didn't go anywhere.
Not at all. She just gets sucked up again. And then it's fine this time.
And, like, isn't traumatized at all. She's just like, I don't think we should give him the Scorpions. And Tessa's like, you right. Shoot, my bad.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
I do think, and, like, part of it is that, like, I'm like, am I being too critical? Considering, like, overall, like, when I talk about, like, the Chibnall's run, I'm like, I'm really enjoying it. Like, it does have its flaws, but, like, overall, like, especially after Moffat did what he did, like, especially with Bill, look, I'm pleased, mostly. But then when I think about, and, like, say what you will about Rose, like, if you like her or not, but, like, of that run, like, you had a very strong sense of who the Doctor was, who Rose was, who Mickey, Jackie, like, you knew who those characters were. Yeah. No matter
and they gave them time, even in episodes when there were other characters. Yes.
Even when they got split up and, like, the Doctor was off over here and Rose was off over here, you knew, like, Rose wasn't just there just to serve the purpose of being with these other people. You also learned about Rose in that process. And, like, I just think that that's been missing for a while. It was missing in a different way with Moffat. Yeah, but, like,
for sure.
It's also, I think, missing here.
Yeah, and then I also just had the thought of, like, bringing it back to Rose and the idea of, like, her life on Earth. I was praising last season of was like, oh, this new squad has a life on Earth. We ain't heard about that since episode 1, and they kind of just reminded us that they have it, and then they were like, let's go on adventures. And there are a few episodes with Martha or Rose or Donna, they'd like call home or, have moments like that. Like even in Spyfall, I think that they could have.
Well, I think
It's a lot going on, but
to call her family.
Yeah.
And then
right, they were like, we're on the run. We can't be calling them.
yeah, and like Ryan stops home, which I mean he wasn't wrong, but
yes. But like little things like that, but there's no room for it because we got Tesla and Mrs. Scarrett, which like I was confused because at the end they like kind of give each other this like awkward like we might be a thing look. But I was googling Tesla and I'm but he's like notorious for being like I was committed to my work and don't want to talk about women.
Basically an asexual king, probably. And like we love that, but so then to see that I was like
I'm confused. Like why?
Like if
you I think if they had focused it on like, well, she maybe has a thing for him, which they kind of like were like, well, she's like this. My life without him would be really boring,
right?
And that's fine. Like they could have presented it more like I love the adventure of it, and it was that until they gave each other eyes at the end of the episode.
Like, I don't know if they you know what it reminded me of. Like I'm wondering if like maybe it was like a. Meant to be a solidarity thing, but it clearly like these two actors had too much chemistry. It reminded what it reminded me of? The Folgers commercial. And I wonder,
we were completely innocent about this, but suddenly the brother and sister looked like they were doing something on the side.
So I'm like, is it one of those where like it was meant to be a different type of look, but like the actors were doing too much and too much acting, and so
too much. I don't know. So that was weird. It's just so many pieces.
Yeah.
Like why was Edison in this?
Still don't know.
Anyway, before we get to Ryan, I am intrigued. I'm interested in where. Just like the Yaz. What's the ship name? Thasmin. The Thasmin of it all. So it's just
oh yes.
But like, I can't tell. I feel like I see it, and then I'm like, I'm definitely just reading into this.
I felt like
because I don't know that I trust them because they haven't given us any of the other character development or any of that. I'm just like, oh, they're not doing it.
I felt like last season felt more intentional in its hinting, and this season, not that there aren't like
hinting at Thasmin,
hints or signs, like not hinting, like signs of like, if not Thasmin, like there was a lot of gay energy, and like
if only y'all could have seen the little dig that she
gay energy. But like this season, like it's still there, but I do think maybe we're reading into it, and like I want to believe that it's not queer baiting because like I want it so bad, y'all, and like that's coming from me who isn't gay. Like this community not only needs it, but like it's right there.
It's really right there.
It's so right there. Can you imagine them together? Like come on.
But my issue is that like because we're not getting any of the other character stuff, if we were learning about Yaz or even just like having her like have actual deep character moments, I would be like, okay, maybe. But she's, hyping up Tesla.
Yeah, she's hyping up Tesla last episode. What was she doing last episode?
Oh, walking around with Benny. With
getting tired of her name was. Getting tired of the like tertiary character she got assigned.
Right. Yaz, this week you have been assigned a yelling old lady. Oh man.
Oh, dang it.
Ryan, who you got? Well, I got, this Martha Jr. Dang it!
And yeah, Yaz was like, girl's a snack. Dang it.
But speaking of Thasmin, so Yaz gets sucked up into Scorpio land, as she is wont to do these days. And then 13's like, well, gotta go after Babu. And so she goes and like teleports in. And wait, what did she say? I mean, we have it later, but we could just do it now. The Racnoss cousin was like, she's not important. And the doctor's like, I'm gonna have to disagree with that. And I was just like, well, is that, No, the Doctor thinks everyone is important.
Right.
So I was just like, you could read it the other way, though.
And that's the thing, the fact that you can. Like, it's 2020. Like, writers need to make a conscious decision to make sure it can't be read that way if they're not intending it to be read that way.
Yeah.
Like, you already know. Like,
Yeah.
it's 2020, we already know.
Yeah. Like, you should know the depths of the fan. Like, it's been 12 years of New Who, much less, like, 56, 7 years
Right.
of Doctor Who in general. So you know how this fandom is. Some of you are part of this fandom and, like, have seen the bits and pieces. I don't know how much you consume, you know, the creators consume. But, like, you know how fans and shippers are. And, like, there's, you know, not to say that shipping and all that stuff should make decide how you write the show, but, like, you know what it is. So if you don't want people to take away this idea when you know that they're going to, you gotta kind of look at it with the extra
like, maybe the first season, that's already, like, that was already produced and done.
Yeah.
But after you see the reaction of the first season, you need to make a conscious effort when writing the second season to make it take a position. Like, obviously, I'm Team Phasma, I think most of us are.
And there's
most of y'all
to deal
are
with it.
listening. But if you're not going to do it, make it explicit that you're not doing it, so people aren't waiting for it.
Yeah, because I feel like now they've made it seems like they've made an explicit thing that Yaz and Ryan are not a thing. Like, that was the thing that they kind of early
made sure
teased,
that we knew.
And then they're like, okay, that's not happening. And so I can't, that's the thing, is that I can't tell if they're, like, trying to seed these moments so that when it does happen, it's like, oh, we presented this, you know, they... the gift came into the Slack, and it was just like, wow, that's a good looking gift. Where 13 comes in,
how are you?
How are you? It's just like, better now that you're here.
And it's like,
and then the way that 13's like Jodie's hair is like covering her face in a way that was just like, oh, interesting.
But I feel like if it was intentional, they would have maybe lingered on their faces longer, or like. You know,
that's
something
what
to draw
I'm
more attention to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just like lingering a half second too long. Like, that makes all the difference if in the end that's your end game.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's why I'm just like,
or
people are just reading too much into it, and then that would, I don't know, suck.
I'm hoping we're not reading too much into it, / Chibnall has like a little bit of J.K. Rowling syndrome, like, where it's like, he's trying to do a thing, and maybe he's not doing it perfectly, but we gonna get there.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I have high hopes, but, like, I also, like, thought, based off of last season, I thought if they were going to do it, they would have, like, made very clear moves by now.
Yeah, like, conceded something.
Yeah.
Like, a hint that Yaz likes girls.
Yeah.
Or, like,
isn't picky. Like, some sort of something. Like, you know, like, maybe not, like, it doesn't have to be
again,
as on the nose as Bill or something, like Bill was. Like, or just something that's, like, I don't know, like maybe an offhand comment to Ryan.
Yeah, she seems open to stuff. And then, because the thing with the Doctor is that, like, even with Rose, which was, like, the most, I mean, besides the River thing, which in both situations with River and with Rose, the Doctor is still this, like, I don't go here character. So he's just like, ugh, you feel that way for me, and I kind of do. Like, there's still, like, a hesitance to, like, participate really in both instances, with the literally the two most explicitly romantic relationships on the show. And even then, like, the Doctor and Rose, they were kind of like, no, it was just like, he can't say the words, he's gonna leave himself over there. But they were the two most explicit ones, and the Doctor's still like, oh, girl, you know, I can't do this. And so, like, for 13, I'm just like, there's a way to present it, at least on Yaz's side, of, like, being open and...
Okay, but I just had a thought, and, like, this is not gonna happen, but, like, can you imagine, like, you know, in, like, what was that two-parter? It was, something in the Satan pit, but in one of those, he, like, he thinks he's gonna die, possibly, and so he's on the intercom, and he's like, well, if I die, tell Rose, well, she knows. Can you imagine if in this, like, Time Lord Gallifrey storyline, 13 has a moment where she thinks she's gonna die, and then she's like, tell yes. And then she's like, oh, she already knows.
Well, see, that was the thing.
I would
no,
die.
But
It's not gonna happen, guys. I just had the thought.
It's not. In Spyfall, when Gaz is abducted and has this like crazy moment in this unknown or whatever, I was like, well, what if she's like, I've realized that I have feelings for
That's
the
kind
doctor,
of what I thought when she was going through.
but then they literally
traumatic,
dropped all of that.
When she was working through it and had like she was crying, talking to Brian. I thought maybe it was gonna like start her story, like because Mandip had that interview where she said we were gonna like learn stuff about her. I was like, maybe this is gonna jumpstart the storyline, which is like maybe she's not out and like she realized like having
like,
life or death
my
experience. She's like,
last
I gotta
chance, like to really like say something and like be my true self or whatever
or something.
Even a tiny piece of that, I thought
would have been great.
And that's the thing also is that like it's not even just the idea of like Jasmine and like Yaz maybe having feelings for the doctor. They haven't done anything with that moment, and so I'm just like, well, what was the point of that? Like they might come back to it, but we're 4 episodes in.
At 10 episode season, I know.
And I just
ain't got nothing.
And then I only got 3 points for our boy Ryan.
I actually had an additional one that I haven't added in, but like let's do the good stuff first.
So Ryan rants and raves. Listen, y'all. Connie loves a 3-piece suit.
We love here at Tarbis.
We love a 3-piece suit.
Love it.
And Ryan wears one well.
He wears one. He wears.
And then the newsboy cap,
girl.
He was walking with his hands in his pockets, and I was just like, that's great.
I just imagine like Tosin on the set that day, like he was feeling it. He knew he was probably so annoying. They were probably so over him because he was just like, I can imagine him being that guy. Like,
I'm
check out the threads. I'm out here.
Fresh fit, you know. Oh man. And then again, he only has a few lines really, but he was like connecting. They all have, Scarrett was his assigned.
Right, his assigned tertiary character
of the week. So he like connects with her, and that was nice. It's like she's good at Impossible 2, and they're just like bonding over the idea that like this person in their life is like wild and fantastic, and they like their life now, which is nice. Again, I kind of wish there was still like a hint at like his normal life and what that is. Whether it's like, I'm really glad to not be there, or, which is where they seem to be going with it, but it was still in the space context and not like anything about his Earth context, if that makes sense. Yeah, and then he invented Wi-Fi.
I know, he was like so shook that
he was really shook, but
he's like, that's Wi-Fi.
But then it continues Tosin's really good background acting because they focus out of him, like they unfocus on him. They go back to the doctor, and he's like has his hand on his chin in the background, like, he really invented Wi-Fi.
That's crazy, yo. He's really like, dang, that's wild.
Hilarious.
Something I also want to talk about, Ryan, that I'm like, we kind of knew this was gonna happen, and like I'm annoyed that it has happened because like it's so problematic. But like we were 4 episodes in season 2, and like I feel like ain't nobody remember this boy has dyspraxia. Like he, like I thought that's what we were like. Sometimes I realize I'm filling in the spaces, and that happened this episode where they were jumping between the train cars because they were on the Orient Express. Random tidbit there. They were on the Orient Express.
Yeah, I was like, why?
I don't know what that was about, but wait, they were on the Orient Express. I think the idea was like,
did it go to Canada? Because weren't they with,
I think they were on the Orient Express. I think they were probably having a separate adventure, like time. They were coming to the Orient Express, but then the doctor was like, I'm getting weird readings, and then I think that's why.
Right, but like, weren't they at Niagara Falls?
Well, I don't know.
Because Tesla was at Niagara Falls.
But anyways,
or in New York.
They're jumping between train cars, and like Ryan pauses. I'm like, oh, because he can't, like it's hard for him to jump because he's got his dyspraxia. But like they don't actually, like, that's me filling in the blanks. They have not touched that storyline since last season.
Yeah.
And I'm just so annoyed because it's already like, okay, they've given him this thing, and like, will it be important? And also, you could have hired an actor that, I mean, Tosin's amazing, but you could have hired an actor with that disability if you were going to do it.
Yeah.
But instead, it's like, again,
Just
I think something happened
only.
last episode too. I don't remember, where at the end of the episode, I was like, wait, no, that wasn't actually about his dyspraxia. I just assumed because I know he has it. And then that's when he was doing the train thing, I was like, oh, look, they're actually doing something with it. And I was like, no, that's not
really.
He just has to
happened with
jump
anybody
across a train car because it's scary to jump across a train car.
Yeah, and it's like that balance of like overusing it
as a plot device,
as a plot device, and also like people live with dyspraxia and they can live normal lives, but in order to, like, if you're just gonna bring it up, it's that line of like, they're not doing anything with it, but I don't want them to be exploiting it.
Yeah, I don't think, and it doesn't need to be like, I just feel like it would have said, because like they had said when like there was, a bit of outrage about it because, they could have had, they were like, oh, but we've been working with like whatever, like I don't remember, like a group in the UK that like a dyspraxia group, I think. And like, been working closely to make sure he's paid right. But like, then wouldn't that at least come across in his like acting, like from episode to episode, day to day, like how he moves and how he, and maybe he thinks he's selling it, but like it should also be in the directing, how they're directing him as an actor to play the character then. And I don't think that, I think he's just playing a normal, maybe a little bit awkward bloke.
Yeah.
And so like, nothing on Tosin, like Tosin's great. Like I'm not, it's not like a critique. It's just like, again, I think it just comes back to we're not getting any characterization of these characters.
Yeah,
and like it's just really so crowded.
What it boils down to,
not even just on a TARDIS, but like in these storylines, it's just so crowded.
So even if it's not a big physical issue, it could still be something that weighs on him,
right?
As like an emotional thing. But we don't have time. Like we're not getting any room.
Like maybe he doubts himself in a situation where he does have it, but like there's that doubt or conflict. But we would never. In these, if it keeps getting written like that, we would never hear about it.
Yeah.
Which is such a shame because I think we have, for the first time, not this, okay, well, let me preface it, like, we've had great actors and actresses all along, But, like, I feel like we, in this group, even with Graham, as far as, like, actors and their abilities, I think we have a really strong group, and you could do so much with them, like, in their skill set. Like, I think that much is clear because,
let
like,
them play off of each other.
Yes, and they have so much chemistry, and again, even though, like, I wish Gramps didn't go here. He, as much as, like, I truly do not, I wish Gramps was not here. But as far as, like, how his character blends with the characters and how the chemistry with the actors themselves, like, it works. Like, it's not as bad as Nardole, that guy. So, like, why are we not utilizing it? Like, that, in episodes where they have used that, has been a shining point.
Yeah. I feel like this episode didn't really have that many bars.
It really didn't. Well, I did like, they like Nikola and the doctor had that moment where like they were talking about inventing, like, do you know what it's like to like, create, but it was more like Nikola Tesla's, and also they were semi-bars. Again, that like just falling short situation where they were semi-bars because I don't remember what they actually were.
Yeah. Before we get to Close to the TARDIS, so I did have a thought from this episode in that it was very what I hear about Classic Who. I don't go to Classic Who, so I can't comment directly.
Yet.
But
Patronus soon come.
Yeah. But the idea of the doctor being like a scientist was like actually a thing, and it was just like, now you're thinking like a scientist, and just the idea of like she like actual science, like not like Doctor Who like fake science, like magic science, like actual science that she was doing, and like not that it was like an educational episode, but I think it goes to my point earlier about like her being this like gushing nerdy teacher where it felt like the idea of like, this is teaching people about who this is as opposed to just like telling a story about who this is. And I'm kind of on the line of like how I feel about that. I'm just like, be a little bit more about like the story of who this is, as opposed to like Nikola Tesla did this and then he's gonna create this and then he's gonna do that.
Right.
And again, that's like the writing thing. But yeah, it was just like Doctor Who's an educational program for children.
That is true.
You know, like,
it does
and that's
feel
what this,
very much that
that's
way.
what that it reminded me of this week, especially after last week's like ham-fisted anvil of a message. And so I was just like, okay,
hashtag message,
kind of message. Like, here's another one. So yeah, there's that as well. Well, the first quote from the TARDIS really sums up the episode.
Sums up my feelings.
I won't lie.
This season.
I was expecting more.
That really was like, that is exactly how I feel about this season. That's literally how I prefaced like my complaint about the writing. I was like, should I say it? I'm gonna say it.
I won't lie. I can't lie. I must not tell a lie. Which is when the Doctor was entering Tesla's lab, of course.
Actually, that is such a good, like, that is, I turned on the season and I was like, yeah,
right. That's about it.
Yeah. Name that. Yeah. Actually, this episode, Graham actually had some bars.
Like half a bar.
Yeah. We're gonna give him his things.
Yeah.
He turned to Thomas Edison and said, "This ain't for sale. Copyright her," and points at the Doctor because Edison was looking at
the TARDIS
that like dollar sign eyes emoji. He was like, woo.
I was like, how much can I get for this one? What you think?
And Graham was like, nah.
We ain't doing that
cut
today.
It. Let's see what we're not going to do.
We ain't doing that
Took
today.
his privilege as a white man and was like, I know you're thinking she's just a woman, you about to buy this off her, but first of all, she not. And second of all, you're not. So
we gonna move that right along, sir. Why was he in the TARDIS?
That is my biggest...
Especially after the Master. We just letting everybody in the TARDIS now?
We truly are. And like then, which we didn't even like reconcile with, I guess because like it goes along with history, but like to get people into their houses, he like just like trashes my boy Nikola. Like, why did he get to come back after that? Yeah, I should have left him outside with them scorpions. Should have been like, oh, look, the door's right here. Oops. All right, well, sorry. You'll find a way.
Yeah. Also, it's very fascinating that they did introduce, going back, like, quotes with the TARDIS, whatever. Going back to Spyfall, and that the Doctor erases the memories of a spy and a future computer programmer.
Those are two important.
Who are women,
right?
And then just the fact. Not trying to imply anything, but that's an interesting detail. That I only had just thought, I just like happened to say it, and then I was just like, oh, and then Edison and Tesla happen to be dudes. And they are also inventors and people who this would affect.
I don't like any
the future of.
I don't like it. No.
The future. Like, what? Why do they get to keep...
Nope, don't ask why, it's fine.
Why do they get to keep their memory?
Well, I think, now that we've said it, we know why. White male privilege truly knows no bounds.
Right. Even when I don't think they're trying, like...
I don't think they're trying to do that. No. I think maybe it could be as much as, like, there's two different writers for those two different episodes.
Yeah,
but like,
and they're trying to do something different every time.
Like, maybe make
and,
that consistent.
Nor didn't see any of the future. She was in her present. I was going to say, like, they definitely erased Ada's memory because she, like, saw too much. Like, she saw World War II.
Right.
And like, that was, like, too far in the future. Like, she saw Nazis and then, like, had a cell phone and was just like, what is this? And the two dudes, like, see, like, not the future of Earth's technology, but they see, like, TARDIS technology. But that's still, like, why do they get to keep that? So, quotes from the TARDIS. Tesla says, what do you suggest? We open a door? And Yaz is like, well, I suggest we don't surrender to the giant alien scorpion. Which, she right.
She ain't wrong. Don't do that.
Let's not do that.
And then he's like, no, I'm not going to do what you're saying, giant alien scorpion. And it works.
Yeah. It's like, yes, you're right. You're right.
Well, no, and then, okay, another quote from the TARDIS that follows right out. Well, it's not from the TARDIS, but, like, I just wanted to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it here.
That's fine.
The giant scorpion is like, kill the stowaway, and I was just like, kill the spare. I was like, yes, ain't no spare. You gotta be.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I'm like, how
today.
did they not? Ain't nobody like Harry Potter on that team? Nobody heard that? They didn't hear that?
I heard it immediately.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah.
And then the best quote from the TARDIS this episode, the most gifable, will launch thousands of fanfic, I'm sure. She's not important.
Launch 1,000 ships.
It will launch 1,000 ships, y'all. So Scorpion Lady says she is not important, and the Doctor says,
like, rolls in like the Kool-Aid Man.
I'm going to have to disagree with that. And followed by shortly where the Doctor's checking in on Yas because that's her fam, and maybe then some. And Yas says, better now that you're here.
Just like hand to the forehead in despair.
Pardon?
Mm-hmm.
Come again?
I'm
gonna give it a couple days, but I'm gonna be on AO3. You know it's gonna be there. There's gonna be a few one shots at least by tomorrow, if not Tuesday.
Ugh. Then the Doctor's hair is just like, I'm asking you quietly. I'm like looking at the gift that has been thrown into our Slack, and just like the Doctor's hair is like in her face because she's like asking privately.
It may not be explicit, but I will take it for myself.
Yeah.
And call it mine.
So that was that episode. We'd just seen it right before we recorded, so it took us in the episode to kind of come to our feelings about it.
Yeah.
And
so it was a bit all over the place. But like, I think it's also, this was a point, it's getting to a point in the season where like we can form opinions about the season as a whole and like where it seems to be going. Because the first two parts were a two-parter, so like, and then it was Spyfall at that. Beast. So, and then the second episode, second storyline, it's like, okay, well that was not great, but also it was following Spyfall, but like this should have set the tone for the rest of the season. So there was a lot to be said. Yeah, that's what I think it is that this episode should have, I understand last week's episode being like mid to poor, but this one should have been a bit stronger to get us where we need to go. So I guess we'll hopefully next week, but that's what I was thinking last week. Yeah. So again, and like we've been very critical, but it's more like on the season and the trajectory as a whole. This episode in and of itself, like if you take it out of the context, was fine. Yeah. It was like, I will rewatch it. Yeah. Oh, the Scorpion Lady, her human face freaks me out. All right. Well, I think you can check us out at blackgirlscreate.org. Follow us on social media. On Twitter at We Black and Nerds. Delia is at Delia Dumbledore. Sure am. I'm at Constar24. You can use the hashtag Tarbis to talk to us about this episode, your thoughts on Thasmin. Are we reading too much into it? I'm sure all of you will. I'm sure you have an opinion. Yeah. Or, where do you think the season's going yourself now that we are at episode 4? Yeah. Only got 6. We got 6 left. And we shall see. Join our Slack where we have a channel dedicated to conversations about Doctor Who. And the gift that keeps on giving is there. So if you'd like to see it, you could join our Slack. Mm-hmm. Rate and review us on iTunes and where podcasts are found. All in places. Tarbis is a part of Hard Knock Media. You join the Nerds of Color podcast network, including the podcasts Hard Knock Life, Southern Fried Asian, DCTV Classics, Ask Bi Girls, Desi Geek Girls, We're Not All Ninjas, and That Moment. You can check out all these podcasts at hardnocmedia.com. Thanks for listening. I will not be back next week, but they will be back next week. How sad. I'm sure you'll miss these rambles. I'm sure. Follow me on Twitter. You can get some there. Or get in the Slack. I'm there too. They'll be back next week for season 12, episode 5, Fugitive of the Jejune. Get ready to platoon upon the moon. We're going to platoon, y'all. I like the idea of the
Jadoon coming back. I like the idea of Jodie's accent talking about the Jadoon.
And hashtag more characterization next episode.
Please. I mean, if we don't get characterization of the fam, at the very least, I need some deep 13 angst. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm not as angsty as you. I can do it.
Ready.
I can do it.
Like, I want angst. I don't want the angry, 12 angst. I just want, like, some good, my people are gone angst. Ooh, give it to me.
Yeah,
yes, let's do
like,
it.
the master is behind it. And then, can we get some Sasha? Please? Just a little.
A smidge.
A smidge. Just like, he shows up real quick, and then it's just like, oh, you thought I was
Flashback.
gone? You thought I was gone?
I'm right here.
I'm back.
Still looking fly as heck. All right.
That would be great. So, Robyn will report back from her mission to bring him back to us. So hopefully she's successful, and we will find out next week.
All right, guys. Until next time, catch me on Twitter. Bye.
Bye.
The black girls have the box.